Okay, let's call the meeting to order. We have a sort of a short agenda. I sent it out with the link. Does anybody have any additions to the agenda or any changes they think should be made? Hearing none, I'll take the agenda as adopted. Okay, do we need to do introductions? Let's see. I can't see Pam or Suzanne, but I'm pretty sure I know Pam for sure. And I think I know Suzanne, but does anybody, maybe we should just do a real quick short introduction. Let me go around as you are on my screen. Floyd?
I'm Floyd Sayer, Mason County.
Okay.
On the State Democratic Executive Committee, running again.
Okay. I'm Bob Baker from Raleigh County. I'm not on the State Democratic Executive Committee, but I am running. There's actually quite a bit of competition in the 9th Senatorial District. There's 5 people running for the 2 male slots. So we'll see what happens. Chris?
Chris Loken, and I'm in Berkeley County, and I'm running as well for the State Executive Committee for District 15, and there's a little bit of competition. Actually, it's Virginia Sign, so it's quite a lot of competition for me.
I should also add, I registered to run for the Raleigh County Executive Committee, and I don't have any competition in that, so I'll be on that come July 1st. Andrew?
Yeah, Andrew Caldwell from Fayetteville. I'm also the secretary, so I'll take the notes this time.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, I was backup for running for our executive committee, but didn't want to split any votes. We've got 2 good people in our district, so.
Okay. Joe?
I'm Joe Golden. I'm from Raleigh County, and I'm running for the County Executive Committee, but also I am running for the delegate in the 45th District, which is part of Raleigh County and part of Perry County that are contiguous with each other.
Linda?
Linda Childers, and I live in Cabell County, and I'm not running for office.
Okay. Suzanne? Are you there, Suzanne?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I'm a retired art teacher.
Oh, good.
And yes, I'm running for State Executive Committee, District 4, and there's 5 women. So there's a lot of competition.
Okay.
So I hope I get.
Okay. What county are you, Suzanne? What county are you?
Jackson.
Jackson?
Jackson, yeah.
Okay, and Pam?
Hello, I'm Pam Garrison.
Pam.
I'm Fayette County. And and I'm running for the County Executive Committee. I'm in the New Haven district over where Celine lives. On the
Okay,
other side of the river, as they say.
right. Which it is, okay. Next item I have on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the January 17th meeting. I sent those out. Those were prepared by Substitute Secretary Linda Childers, partly before and partly after she got elected as chair. I only saw a couple of changes, but I couldn't edit her PDF in Charleston yesterday on my iPad. I might be able to do that here at the house, but I couldn't do it there. So one thing I would suggest is adding is the motion for the approval of the November 15th minutes was made by Floyd Sayer and seconded by Kristen Loken. And then under nominations, Jenny Moles was nominated And I can't remember who nominated her, but she declined. So I was going to change it to that she was nominated but declined.
I think I nominated her and she declined.
I think that might be right. Okay. I can change that to Floyd. She declined. Okay. Are there any other changes or adjustments to the minutes of January 17th that anybody else has or noticed? Oh, wait, when it says Mercedes Sayre spoke about ARA, I think that was Floyd.
Yeah,
Floyd comes on pretending to be Mercedes sometimes.
yeah, it's her iPad that I'm on.
Yeah. So that's at the bottom of the first page. Those are the only other things I noticed in a quick read through last night. I don't know if anybody else saw any.
Isn't it Hillsborough?
What's that, Chris?
I've lost it now. Let me get it. Nancy Hillsborough. I think it's a B instead of an H in her name.
In what?
Nancy Hillsborough. I think it's Hillsborough. B-O-S. Nancy Hillsborough, but I could be wrong, but I think that's right.
Where are you looking? Oh, Hill host. I think it might be. Let me see what I wrote.
I don't think it's Hillsborough. Hillsborough. I think it's B.
I have Hilbos, Hilbos. I
That's
think
it.
that is right. So that's a good correction. Okay.
Wait a minute. One other thing I didn't understand. It says that Floyd said the steel mill will be 90% possible and 10% negative. Maybe that's 90% positive.
Yeah, that should be positive, right? I
Yeah,
remember when Floyd said
90%
it.
positive. There's some negative aspects to it. I've got some questions about it.
Yeah.
I wonder if American Electric Power is not going to sell the steel mill power at below cost and pass the cost on to the regular electric consumers in the state. That's a concern that I have. Whether it's founded or not, I don't know.
Okay. Well, with those changes made, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes of January 17th?
I so move. Chris.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Okay. I don't know if you can adjust those or not and send them to me, Linda. Is that possible?
Sure.
Okay. And then I'll send the final version out to everybody. All right. The next item on our agenda was something that was requested by Mary Ann Claytor as part of she's a co-chair of the Black Caucus, African American Caucus. I'm not sure what name they're using, but she has requested that she's got a separate job with the Democratic Party dealing with what sort of problems people are facing, minority people are facing. We're not that much of a minority. In fact, we're pretty much a majority, I think, in the party. But she was trying to get people to identify the top three non-inclusive behaviors that our diversity group faces out there in the world, and how to identify those behaviors and how to form an appropriate response. As far as I know, that's the only remaining business for tonight, unless somebody else has some new business. So I've had my issues with Mary Ann, but I think this is a fairly reasonable task and something that makes sense for us to do. If we can. And I'm not sure what non-inclusive behaviors that seniors face. About the only thing I can think of is it seems like I'm getting called honey a lot more than I used to when I was younger. I don't know if anybody else is facing that issue. And I feel like that's a little bit dismissive. I'm not sure that's the most serious thing, but I'd like to hear what other people have to say.
I think now that I'm older, I think I use that term more frequently. Or sweetie, but I think I do it with everybody. Everybody.
And maybe the people that are doing it to me do it with everybody too, for all I know, but it feels like it's a little bit dismissive.
That's
course.
not the worst term that I've been called, so I personally don't worry about it.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't worry about it much either.
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, and it's I forgot what I was going to say. I'll withdraw it. I was writing something else. Okay,
You're not
I'll
accused
remember
of
it.
senior moments, are you?
You got it.
The thing that I notice, I listen to a lot of progressive news online, and they're typically hosted by people in their 30s and 40s, and they're dismissive of right-wing media, saying their audience is old people, like, and they'll say some age like 65 and older, and laugh it off, like they're just, their audience is just people 65 and older. And I'm an audience listening to this person, and I find it highly dismissive. And the only time I have addressed it was I sent an email to this one progressive company that I used to listen to daily, and I donated money to them quite frequently. So I felt like I had a voice that they needed to listen to.
Did they respond?
Yeah, they did not. They haven't responded a couple of times when I emailed them, and I with really thoughtful, not just criticisms. I have emailed them about several different things, and I've never gotten an email from them. And the last time it happened, I took great offense, because it took me a long time to compose this email. It was something that was really important to me, and I didn't get a response from them, except to say they had gotten my email. But however, as I said, I used to listen to them daily. And I did, after the email about the ageism that I noticed, it did quit.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
good.
It did quit,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
For that particular company. Yeah, for that particular company, it did.
Great.
Hey, Bob, I have one particular behavior that annoys me, and that is the overall term blame and projection.
Overall
So
what?
blame, and projection. So if somebody, I was gonna identify this in case somebody got on this call and started blaming or projecting their own feelings upon other people. Now, at the tender age of 76, because I had a birthday, I just can't put up with B and P anymore. And that would be blame and projection. What I've actually had private conversations with 3 people that are involved in the Affirmative Action Committee. And advise them to use I statements. In other words, starting out a sentence with, I feel hurt when you use the term sweetie with me. I actually don't, but that's an example. And rather than saying, you're judgmental and you're treating me like a child, rather than doing the finger pointing. And I know that I happen to be a counselor working 2 days a week. And when a couple comes in my office, I have to identify blame and projection, and I have to practice with this couple using I statements, because I don't want an argument in my office. And it's my office and I can control it. Damn it. At any rate, that we need to have a little course in owning one's own feeling. I think a damaging thing is when somebody has a gripe and starts pointing the finger. That Floyd Sayer, he looks pretty weird to me. And I mean, we could go on and on. In this crowd, I don't think there is that. But if there were, I would ask people to not blame, but to own their own feelings and keep in your, it's kind of a strange term. Maybe this is a Vietnam thing. Keep in your own body bag, it's a weird term.
Yeah.
But at any rate, keep in your own skin.
What does that mean?
What it means is that I'm not going to project my insecurities on another human being
Okay.
by blaming them. I'm going to own my own feeling. So if somebody, if a minority person, say for example, was got their feelings hurt by somebody saying some phrase, the proper way to put it so that people could hear would be, I really feel hurt and I feel judged when you use that particular term, and I'd like to see you use non-judgmental terms.
So, Andrew, are you feeling like this is something that as seniors, we get pointed and blamed, projected on and blamed more often than others, or is this just a
General.
overall behavioral issue?
It's number one, I think that as seniors, we don't want to put up with that stuff anymore because we've learned better. And number two, in these kinds of meetings that we have, that we ought to cut down on the viciousness, the attacking. Now, I haven't heard it in this group here, but I have sat in on some affirmative action committee ones where it's got kind of thick.
Yeah.
Yeah. It blows, it makes people go away and turn off, not come back to the meeting. Yeah, Joe Golden.
I appreciate what you're saying. I'm afraid that what you're referring to is something that's been modeled in the US in many different contexts by people in authority and people who are supposed to be role models, if you will. And I think it's unfortunate, but I think it's part of the American psyche among many people to do that point and blame rather than take responsibility for what they're feeling and responsibility for what the situation may be. I admire you bringing this topic up, but it's a big, each of us maybe on our own can whittle away at that kind of behavior a little bit of an encounter at a time, but it's so pervasive. I'm concerned that it's a detriment to reasoned interactions in this country.
Well, I have a thought, and in these types of meetings, what the facilitators can do is be aware and stop it in its tracks by there's that technique where you would get somebody to interact with either Linda or Bob, who's ever leading the meeting, and cut out crosstalk or blame. If I'm blaming Floyd, say for example, maybe Bob would interrupt me and ask me to direct questions to Bob, and then he would direct them to the group. It stops. That is one thing we can do if it happens in here, and it very well could be, because personalities are personalities. And I agree with you, Joe. It's on the national agenda. It's Well, pervasive, it was more pervasive about 2 years ago. We'll wait and see, won't we? Thank goodness none of that crap goes on in Charleston.
Oh,
yeah.
Any other things that people have noticed that are non-inclusive behaviors that affect seniors? Joe?
This is not necessarily a conscious non-inclusive behavior, but I just know that when you go into grocery stores or other stores, majority of people who are wearing masks are people who are older, and those who are not wearing masks are generally younger than 50, I would say. And I don't think there's a sensitivity there and I know it's a controversial issue whether to wear a mask or not wear a mask, but knowing that there are many people at risk, especially those who are older and have both their age and possible other illnesses and diseases that make them more susceptible. It's just a behavior that seems that people are not sensitive in public settings to acknowledge that there might be still a reason to wear a mask.
Are you saying the younger people are
Insane.
not
They're not sensitive, but
not
people,
feeling the need to protect older people?
yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I don't know if this counts as a non-inclusive, was it non-inclusive behavior or something? Non-inclusive what? What was the subject?
Non-inclusive behaviors, yeah.
Behavior. But the one that I noticed among my older friends, several, is that they are fired before they get their pension, or their pension is taken away, or severely reduced. I must have 4 or 5 friends that really lost out considerably through that kind of thing. Is that the kind of behavior you're talking about? I don't
I mean,
know.
we're the ones who decide what behaviors we're talking about, so.
Okay.
Chris, I
really
would say
hurt
that is.
Yeah, it really hurts them. I mean, United Airline pilot lost his whole pension. Another friend of mine just the other day said that they lost a big part of their pension.
That's age discrimination,
Yeah,
What discrimination?
age discrimination.
In
Yeah,
And I
pensions?
think there might be some laws that they could try to respond to, but they need a lawyer to advise them.
Yeah.
well,
That happened to me. And we got the SLAP legislation, Stop Looting American Pensions Act. I got it to Manchin.
right.
He introduced it, but it didn't pass. So we're still in that quandary. Retirees, employees are at the very bottom of the bankruptcy totem pole. And when that happens, they drop the life insurance, health insurance, drop the pension, turn it over to Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation. Pension Benefit Guaranty Corporation is an insurance company that's backed by the government, but the funding comes from defined pension benefits. And it's in deep doo-doo right now because of all these corporations dumping their pensions over on it. I don't know how much longer without some more funding that it'll last. One of the things that people don't realize the Biden administration did, but I believe it was $86 billion into bailing out pension funds that were in dire straits.
Yep.
So that will extend it out for quite a while, but I don't know how long. So we definitely need some pension reform, some bankruptcy reform. With the Republicans in there, I can guarantee it's not going to happen.
Right, that's it. I mean, it's just terrible. These people are really suffering.
Okay. Any further ideas?
I've got a question. I don't understand why so many union people who have been hurt bad by cutting of unemployment benefits from 26 weeks to 12 weeks. We are now a right to work state or a right to work for less state. We are now, they also lost other benefits, prevailing wage. Yet these people voted for Donald Trump, and it's coming back to bite them bad.
And do
I'd
they
like to
realize
say I
it?
feel sorry for them, but I don't.
Well, but
Right.
it's inviting everybody, not just the people. Are they
I
still?
understand.
And I think they still support Donald Trump.
They do.
We're getting
Even
somebody
though-
new.
So there's some things that are more important to them than the economic issues, I guess.
Recently read the book Nomadland.
Yes.
It was the Academy Award winner, I think in 2020.
Yeah. I saw it.
Have any of you all read that book or seen the movie?
I've seen the movie.
Seen the
yeah.
movie.
So the movie, I'm in a book club, and we just it's a book club that's called Based on a Book. So it's books that movies or TV shows have been made about. So I just finished the book a few days ago. We just discussed the book Thursday, and I just watched the movie. And the movie really, in my opinion, sugarcoats the issues. The author of the book, Jessica Bruder, has dedicated her reporting to economic issues in the country. And she did a very deep dive into what has created the situation for so many, mostly seniors, to
Mhm.
take the lifestyle of living in a van or a
Right.
RV or a car and moving from place to place for temporary work to survive. So it related to, in many cases, companies that changed having a pension to doing the 401k, and then the stock market would go down, or the economic crisis in 2008 that affected housing, just all kinds of issues. And then she really went into how horrible it is to these Amazon warehouse jobs, particularly for seniors who are doing these part-time jobs for a few months. And there's a company in North Dakota that harvests beets, and how brutal that is for particularly senior minds and bodies. And the movie in no way showed how difficult those jobs are. They just did a light brush on Amazon and that beet company. It is devastating how so many policies that have negatively impacted seniors and all age groups in this country. People just don't realize how they vote affects how they live. Everything's political. Somebody will say, I'm not political, and I'll say everything's political.
We've been joined by Janie Clater Woodson. Would you like to introduce yourself, Janie?
Good evening. Just on as a senior living in Charleston, West Virginia, and I've been invited to these meetings before, but I usually have a conflict at the time, and that's what happened tonight. And I have another one because I have a Zoom at 7:30, but I thought I'd at least get on and see what you were talking about in the caucus.
We've
Thank
been
you.
talking about, it's the primary issue after we got past the bureaucratic stuff, about non-inclusive behaviors that our seniors face. So if I think that seniors don't face the kind of non-inclusive behaviors that African Americans face, or that
Disabled.
Latinos, or even disabled people, or even young people. They all face different kinds of non-inclusive behaviors than we face. And we've been trying to identify ones that we face.
I think,
Lynn?
I just like to say that one ameliorating factor is that many people who are younger than ourselves may look at us inclusively as parents or grandparents and may be more benevolent toward us.
Oh, than the other groups are looked at?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true. Not necessarily with more respect, but at least Lynn, I'd like to try to identify exactly where the last thing you talked about falls in terms of categories, or some way to sum it up in a pithy statement.
Did you say me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the changing in corporate policy to not give pensions.
So that's in the age discrimination area, basically.
It is.
Okay.
Well, it's also, isn't it, that Social Security is not sufficient to retire on. And let's see. So there's a lot of, it's not as bad as it was before Social Security, but there's a lot of seniors that do not have enough money to they making decisions between drugs and food. And then when it gets to paying rent, they have to move into a hobo life. I don't know what you call that. But.
Another thing, that beet company and the Amazon wanting workers, and the and then a lot of state parks, national forest, they hire these workers too, and they go to areas where these nomads are gathering, and they market to them. They market to the seniors, and yet they don't provide what they really need. They work them long hours, and they don't provide the appropriate medical care for them if they get injured. They said they have a generic, the work is so difficult physically because they're walking on concrete floors for like 15 miles a shift, and using a scanner that will often affect wrists, joints in the wrist joint. And so they give a generic. They have a dispenser for genetic painkillers. But if you want one like a Tylenol, you got to pay for that in the break room. And of course, the breaks are very limited. So they are marketing for seniors, but they're not really providing the services for them that they need.
They need a union.
They need a union, exactly.
Helps a lot.
Absolutely.
Oh, maybe that comes under, we're living longer, so these problems are more, salient today. As there's more seniors living longer, and there's the baby boomers that are overwhelming everything.
Yeah.
And many families are caught between having to care for children and parents.
None of us, though.
Sandwich people.
Yeah, home care.
I think we're mostly past that stage, if I'm not mistaken. Not all seniors, but I'm talking about the seniors on this particular meeting.
Also, I think that while seniors do run the world, that's a very elite group of seniors, and most seniors are not in that group. Most seniors are really just trying to make it through things, and then there's a fortunate few that are okay financially, but most seniors have serious financial difficulties, and some of that is with medical problems as well. And of course, you have more medical problems the older you get. I heard a doctor say the other day, one of the worst things he does is somebody will come in and he'll tell them what they got, and the patient says, "How much does it cost?" to decide whether or not to have life-saving care.
Okay, we're joined by Charlie Mullins. Charlie, could you introduce yourself, please, to the group here?
Yes, hi, I'm Charlie Mullins. I'm co-chair of the Latin and Hispanic Caucus of the AAC. I'm just joining because I'm interested in, seeing what you all are doing in the senior caucus, and I support you all and everything like that.
Good.
Thanks. We've been discussing the questions that Mary Ann Clater put out about non-inclusive behaviors that we face as seniors.
Gotcha. Are you okay, Bob?
Well, yes, but I had a minor surgery removing some basal cells from my face today.
Gotcha. Okay,
So
I was a little worried.
Yeah, it's a somewhat imposing bandage, but it comes off tomorrow. And then after that, there's just steri strips and waiting for it to heal up.
Good, glad to hear.
And hopefully the headache will go away. I think we were getting pretty close to winding down. We've done a little bit of discussion and if
Can I move that we adjourn?
you want to skip asking if there's any new business, Andrew?
Yeah, I know that we had looked at the AARP in West Virginia presenting some little thing, a little talk on their legislative agenda. They would be willing to give a wrap up on that legislative, what the legislature had accomplished or not from their perspective next meeting. That still is. Are they still going to be in session? It's half over right now.
No, they'll be done by March 21st.
March 21st, and our next meeting is
March 21st.
March 21st.
I think they're done around the let's see, this 21st, 19th. They're done around the 12th, I think.
Of
March.
March. Okay. If you want to have them give a recap, I could call up the state director of it. If you're looking for programming next time.
Let's ask them, and also Jenny Moles is a possibility for next time too. You could just check and firm up one or the other, or both you, and we could do both probably.
I'd be glad to do that.
Okay.
I have a question for Andrew.
Yeah.
You said that there was two guys running in your district for the Democratic Executive Committee.
Right.
They're not from the same county, right?
Two guys from the same district in the same county. Yes. Not.
Have you checked on that? Two males or two females from the same county can't serve.
Now, this is the local executive committee, Fayette County Executive Committee, not, yeah, understand.
I thought you were talking about the state. I'm sorry.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought you were too, but that makes more sense.
That makes a whole lot more sense.
Although I think I understood from someone that actually two men could be from the same county, but then the women would have to be from different counties. I'm not quite sure exactly how it's
All right.
says.
I'm not sure. All I knew that when I ran the last time, there was two guys from my county, myself and another guy, and we both, if we'd have both been the two highest vote getters, we couldn't have served, but he
Right,
didn't get enough votes, so it didn't make any difference.
right. Hopefully that'll work out for you again if there's, are you the only one running?
No, I'm in the 4th senatorial district, and there's one guy running from Mason County, 2 from Jackson County, and I don't believe there's anybody from Putnam, but only 2 can serve. So there's 3 running, 2 from Jackson and 1 from Mason.
Okay,
I should be okay, I think.
I think so. I hope so.
If not, somebody else, due to my age, if somebody else younger won, I wouldn't be upset.
Yeah, me either. I'm not worried at all.
Okay, is there any other new business for tonight? I would, if there's not, I would just add that I'm gonna be out of town from the 3rd to probably the morning of the 21st of March. But I will try to get, as soon as I get back, get everything set up for a meeting in the evening of March 21st. And if I can't, then we'll get Linda to do it, run the meeting, but I'll go ahead and set up the Zoom meeting before I go, so that at least, because I do that from the computer, not my iPad. I can do everything else from my iPad, but except for actually set up the meetings. So I'll get that done before I go, and we can hear from ARP or Jenny Moles with the Association of Retired Americans, or both, if depending on what Andrew can line up. Now, did I hear a motion to adjourn?
Yes. You did. Yeah,
I so
know.
move.
Yeah. I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, say no. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll see you guys in 4 weeks.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.